This article is Practice What You Preach, How to Make the Workplace and the World a Happier Place. Comes from Forbes magazine, May 2018. Many of the reviewers of one of my favorite books, Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Stanford faculty Greg McKeown, had one major bone to pick with the author: the sacrilege of using Rosa Parks and her courage as an example to explain time management. This approach speaks to trends across the media and publishing worlds, where people, in speaking of all kinds of modern ideas and trends, the birth of hip-hop, case for debt restructuring, the uncelebrated tweet about Russia, among others, always reach to the same central casting for support: Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Mohandas Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Abraham Lincoln, and of course, Martin Luther King Jr. The reason is simple. These are the ultimate moral authorities. If you have them on your side, then the debate is effectively over. It's often difficult to understand why there is a consensus about their transcendence and the urgency of their ideas, and yet an absence of application across the world. Over the past year, I've poured through endless amounts of data and evidence on what makes people truly happy and flourish. I've questioned many experts, psychologists, and economists especially, and I've recently founded a teaching and media company that aims to spread happiness in Africa. The collection of findings have been truly fascinating and closely connected. At the crux of my finding is this realization: the most important predictor of happiness is loving relationships with yourself and others. As we recently celebrated Martin Luther King Jr.'s 50th anniversary of his passing, it's time to ask ourselves, how is it that we agree with him with our hearts and minds so completely, yet we balk at creating the world that his life demanded? Where people spoke about self-defense, Gandhi spoke about nonviolence. Where people insisted on retributive justice, Mandela doubled down on restorative justice. And where others prized pride and attack, King spoke often of love and patience. We are a culture very fond of quoting with approval King when he says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." But how many of us truly believe in our hearts and act this out in our words and our actions when it comes to those we consider darkness? American liberals on Donald Trump, Western pundits on Vladimir Putin, and everyone on terrorists. We agree with the wisdom of the sages, but we find them impractical, idealistic, and pacifist. Despite the avalanche of research about the effects of vulnerability, authenticity, empathy, and love in driving positive corporate environments and flourishing businesses, how many businesses and brands truly love when dealing with erring employees, long-term debtors, and fierce competitors? Talk of love and kindness is too fluffy, we say, too fuzzy, too soft. So soft that American presidential candidate Hillary Clinton abandoned her preferred message of love and kindness because it sounded like something for the Peace Corps. Instead, she chose a revolving door of poll-tested slogans that eventually spoke to no one. Not without reason, though. When she spoke about a politics of meaning in the 90s, the entire American media laughed her out of the room. St. Hillary, they mocked, and into the arms of hard-nosed, cold-eyed hawks. Yet Mandela, with his fluff, won freedom for his people. King, with such fuzz, laid a path to the Civil Rights Act. And Gandhi, with all that jazz, won independence for his nation, among very many other landmark accomplishments. Business owners and brands can pave a path of positivity by building a culture of love, strengthening relationships, embracing vulnerability, nurturing deep, authentic conversations, and eudaimonism. Not because it reduces attrition and increases staff retention and customer engagement, but because it's the right thing to do. Businesses should, as a principle based on love, prioritize public wealth and well-being over personal gains. This is a tradition that continues beyond business. In my country, Obiageli Ezekwesili left the cold halls of the World Bank and has spent the past 3 years campaigning tirelessly for the release of the abducted schoolgirls by Boko Haram. Compelled by love, she says. The movement she leads, #BringBackOurGirls, has helped recover over half of them. In Liberia, Lehman Gaboui, Nobel Peace Prize in the bag, continues to win freedom and prosperity for her countrymen and women using the unstoppable power of love and kindness. We're almost ashamed to speak of joy. It's not precise enough. Or love. It's not realistic enough. We're ashamed of speaking with confidence about what philosophy, validated by theology and psychology and anthropology and underlined by economics, is saying to us in favor of a realism that has made the world a melting pot of disaster. Changing this perception at the workplace requires we work from the place of character strengths and virtues. First, by identifying these strengths and positive identity labels around us among employees and interns and customers and investors everywhere. The values in action inventory and strength finder and reflected best self are some useful tools to start with. These tools alone will not build the culture. The responsibility of creating a more positive culture of love lies on people. As we celebrate the transcendent life of Martin Luther King Jr., we will do ourselves some good by remember one of the gauzier things that he said in the book, A Testament of Hope. He said, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. I have a strong feeling that the time he spoke about is today.